Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So today I actually have a video I filmed quite a while ago when my computer was broken featuring Safari Friends from MFT. You may have seen the pictures of it. I tried to edit the video on my son's laptop and let's just say that was a disaster. It took like 4 days for it to render into the program that I used to edit. Yeah, it just was not happening. And I ran into it on an SD card, so I figured I'd edit this one up for you guys so you can have it. And see if you guys enjoy the video. It is a lot of watercoloring, so I am currently just stamping out all of the little critters here and stacking them up on top of each other. My head is in the way because obviously I was sticking my big head in the way. Anyway, so we're just going to carry on getting all these guys stamped out. I am stamping them using, I do believe this is Craft & Kimmy Stamps Wicked Black ink, which is a hybrid ink, so it covers it works well with watercolor, Copics, everything I've ever tried to use it with. So we're just going to start in pulling out my watercolors and watercoloring this one up. For our little elephant down here, I am using, I believe it's graphite gray. Don't quote me on that because, like I said, I filmed this one months ago and I'm just now getting around to editing it. So I could be way out to lunch on what the colors are, but you saw the picture at the beginning of the video and it will be again at the end. Now these just take lots of time. Everywhere where you see kind of like the little skip there, I'm actually letting the watercolor dry naturally. I'm not blasting it with a heat gun. I am now going over it with a blue tone to make the elephant a little more blue toned. It's probably Payne's Gray would be my guess. Anyway, but I do like to let my watercolors dry naturally. As long as your paper is wet, that watercolor is moving within the fibers and it's kind of doing its own thing, and that's the beauty of watercolor, is kind of putting it on and not being able to completely control it and just letting it see where it's going to end up and what it's going to disperse to. So as long as that paper is wet, like I said, it's moving. And when you touch your watercolor paper, if it feels cool, it's still wet, which means it's still moving. Which means if you go on to, like, for this instance, the hippopotamus on top of our elephant, he is going to bleach color into the elephant because that paper is still wet, and watercolor goes where paper is wet. Principally, anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. So I'm just glazing colors over and over top of each other here to get our little elephant to the point where I like him. I do use rags. They're usually old towels ripped up. I have a couple terry cloth towels. I have like 10 or 15 rags I use, and when they get really dirty, I just throw them in the washing machine. Unless they have bad pigments on them, then I wash them by hand and I dispose of the water with some other things that I dispose of through work, because I do paint commercial and residential and industrial properties outside of doing this for fun. So I have access to be able to get rid of toxic, dangerous, things like that, heavy metals, stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. That's kind of like a tangent here. So I'm going in with purple on our little hippopotamus, and then I will add some moon glow to him just to deepen up his shadows. I really loved painting this, you guys. I sat at my kitchen table. I usually film downstairs in the art room, but I was sitting at the kitchen table and I was like, ooh, I want to film this one. So I actually lugged up the camera and the whole 9 yards to be able to film this one at the dining room table, which is probably why my big head was getting in the way. That and it's a gigantic head, so yeah. But we're just going to carry on painting this. My watercolor obsession's continuing this year. I really enjoy painting everything. I enjoy painting everything. Critters, people, just stuff in general, plants, flowers, toasters. I did a toaster not long ago. You'll see that one coming up soon. But yeah, I've been really, really loving watercolors. My markers and pencils are feeling neglected. I do use them from time to time, but my main, what I really love to do cards in lately is my paints, and I have tons of paints, so I have tons of cards I can make before I run out of stuff. Now we're doing our little lion here, and I'm starting off with, this is probably quinacridone gold, because I love that color. And we're just building up layers and glazing, and I let it dry in between so that those colors lay on top of each other. Most of the watercolors I use are completely transparent. I do have some that are semi-transparent. But so when I lay them on top of each other, you see the first color glow through what I glaze on top of it, which is a technique I've just really, really learned to love and embrace in my watercolors, as opposed to blending and letting colors mix wet and wet. I have lots of issues with that, so I just don't do it because I can't make it do what I want it to do, so I glaze because that does what I want it to do. Now I've pulled out, these are my stone ground paints. These are handmade paints, and I'm probably using the Fuselite color here just to kind of give it more of an earthy tone on the lion's fur, and then we'll work on his mane and things here shortly. I haven't been making videos. I haven't been filming videos. You guys, I've been in such a funk. I don't know. I need to get out of it and start doing things, which is why I'm editing this one. I figure this might give me the push to make some new stuff, like, on video. I've been doing lots of coloring sitting on my couch, and, like, I really need to get off my couch. I've been so sick the last couple of days. I don't know what's up. I'm just like, it's like a January funk. I live in Saskatchewan. It's like been minus 40 outside, and I don't even want to move. So I'm hoping I can get out of that, and this will help start to break it off. So I'm working on his mane and tail here, and I'm starting off with the same colors that I used on his body because I do want it to feel like one cohesive, like it, because it's part of the lion, so it'll have the same undertones and things of that nature. And then I'll just keep deepening it up so that his mane looks a lot darker than the rest. And I'll come in and add some browns and stuff to it after here. You can see how I just kind of keep swapping out palettes. I use some of my Daniel Smith, then I use some of my Stone Ground. This is my Schminke palette. I've had this palette now for three, maybe 4 years. I saved up for this one for a long time. I love my Schminke palette. It's my baby. I paid a fortune for it. And I'll love it and hug it and call it my own. Anyway, I love them, but I love to use them too. I don't buy, like, when I splurge on something like this Schminke palette. Now you need to understand, I saved for 2 years to be able to buy the Schminke palette. It was like $500. Took me a long time to have that money saved up that I could spend it on this and not feel like I was taking something away from the rest of my house. But yeah, so I saved up for a long time by like $5 and $10 at a time in a bucket, till I had enough money to be able to purchase it. And then I was still like, do I want to buy it? Do I want to buy it? And the other half was like, just buy the damn palette so I can quit hearing about it. Just buy the thing because I'm sick of you watching reviews and YouTube videos and blah, 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 and telling me how much you have the money, buy the thing. So I did, and I'm happy I did, and I love it. And it exploded into a massive watercolor obsession, as lots of you know. So yeah, that's how that one happened. So now you can see how I've added browns into those yellowy toned colors, and it's just deepening up that mane. And I'm just working slowly and taking my time. Watercolor is not a fast medium for me. It takes me forever to paint images. This was probably like 2.5 or 2 hours, I would say. 2.5 hours sitting and painting before I was happy with this. Now I've pulled out another palette and stole a little color off of that, and then I went back to my Schminke one. So I'm just kind of jumping back and forth with the colors I want. I'm really not, a lot of the time I'm not insistent on, I'm going to paint this image with this palette. It's, I want this color and this color and this color and this color, and that's going to be what I use to make this card. If you guys could see me when I do these voiceovers, my hands are like all over the place, and I'm having a conversation with you guys, and I talk with my hands, and I probably look absolutely ridiculous if you or anybody standing outside my living room window watching me currently. So I digress. Back to the card. I'm adding some shadows behind his front legs here because they sit in front of the back ones, and that'll push those back legs back a little bit, which will give him more of a 3D feel as opposed to being flat on the paper like he is. I don't know how much longer I keep layering colors on this lion, but he's coming along. I'm really happy with the way this entire card turned out. I did, like I said, I've shared this already over on the MFT Facebook group. It was on my blog. It's been all over the place, but that was a while ago, and I had the video, so I figured it would be fun to be able to post it and be like, look, I really did record this, even though it was 9 months ago, and, well, it wasn't that long ago, but I never bothered to edit it. Here it is now. Yay! Happy dance. Anyway, so I'm just going to add a little bit of pink to his nose there, and shadow that in a little bit with some gray. Now we're going to start on our giraffe, and I'm just starting by laying down a wash of, I do believe this is Naples yellow. I'm just kind of giving him that little bit of a hue to get me going. I like to do that a lot of the time, is just lay down a base color and then I just build up from there, adding to it and then glazing over top, like I said. It's the same process over and over again, and I'm just going to keep talking about it over and over again. Some people really like the reinforcement of why I'm doing what I'm doing, so I'm just going to kind of go with that. And I feel really awkward doing a voiceover because I haven't done one in a long time. So now I'm adding some of the Naples yellow reddish to it and a little bit of yellow ochre probably would be my guess. And I'm not worrying about the spots when I'm doing this, like on the giraffe, because I know I'm going to go in after with a darker color, like with a darker brown to make the spots a lot darker on him. So for now I can paint right over top of them and not even worry about it. I didn't like his nose. And not even worry about it because that darker color is going to glaze over top and become darker anyway. So I'm not going to have any issues with getting the spots to the depth that I want them to be. So you don't even have to worry about painting around them. Just go right over top, because you're going to put the darker color over it after anyway. As I'm doing here, you can see how I added a little bit of brown to that color, and that's how I'm starting in on his spots and his nose and his feet and things. So it lays right over top and glazes on awesomely. Now I'm adding a little bit of red brown to it. It's probably, I don't know what color it is. But just to redden them up. I didn't want to go too brown with the spots on the giraffe because the lion was really brown, and like you can see how I did the elephant's blue and the hippo's more purple, just to kind of keep those colors a little bit apart because the animals stacked on top could be very much the same colors. And I wanted them to read very different. So that's kind of what I was after with making his spots a little redder as opposed to quite as brown as what I did on the lion's mane. I am using, this is a silver black velvet brush, I do believe. Nope. I don't know. I can't tell. No, it's probably my Kolinsky Sable brush. I have lots of watercolor brushes. Anyway, it's just a small round number 4. I know that much. I can tell by the size of it. But as to specifically what brush it is, I got no idea. So we're just adding shading to his spots, making sure he looks a little round and fun. And then once I'm happy with that, you can see how I just keep glazing and layering and glazing and layering. And it's just a slow process to build it up to where you want. I would rather spend the time laying it on and having to deepen up those colors slowly, as opposed to getting to a point where I'm like, whoa, too dark, need to lighten it. Now I'm going to paint our little birdie up here blue. He's super cute, sitting on the giraffe's nose. And then I go back and I look at it and I'm like, well, the elephant needed some more shading, so you can see how I'm going in and I'm adding some darker shading to the elephant so he doesn't look quite as flat as he was looking to me. He just kind of looked out of place and really light. So we'll deepen him up a little bit. And that's the beauty of watercolors. Once you get done, you can look at it and be like, okay, he needs to be darker. This needs a little more contrast. This needs this, da-da-da-da. And just continue to glaze those colors over top of the ones that are already there without having to fight to lighten something or anything like that. Because you can always make it darker really easy. It's not always as easy to lighten up watercolors. Which goes for any medium you work in. It's not as easy to make stuff lighter. It's easier to go darker. So I like to paint them all in and get to the point where I'm happy with them. And then continue to work up and then go back and look at the whole thing as a whole and decide what needs a little more color or what needs a little more shadow. And it's super easy to go back and be able to do that to the image once you have the rest of it colored, because those colors just glaze. And by then you know that the paper's nice and dry, which also makes it a whole lot easier. So we'll finish up darkening up our little hippopotamus here. This always makes me want to sing that stupid "One Hippopotamus for Christmas." Jessie can't sing. But anyway, that song. I love that song. I live in Canada. Okay, I'm going to go on a tangent. When we were kids, there was a commercial that would go around about house hippos. And they actually like had little tiny hippos that ran around the house. And I used to think they were real. They're not. But I wanted a house hippo forever. And yeah, they aren't a real thing. But that's all right. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to lay down a whole bunch of blue in the background just to start putting in the sky and stuff. And then once that's all done, I thought it still looked like there was a whole lot of missing space. So we will go in and add a tree into this card at the end. I'm not sure if I caught that on film or if I did that off camera. I'm hoping I filmed it. we'll see when we get there. This video is like 20 minutes long. If you're still with me and through all of my babbling and all of my awkwardness because I haven't done a video, like a voiceover in so long, I commend you, because thank you and I appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy these videos. So we're adding some green to the ground just to give our elephant something to stand on. Adding a little bit of sprigs up and down just to give it a little more texture of grass, as opposed to being just like a smooth, flat landscape. Continuing laying those up. I use like different greens and I add yellows and stuff like that. And now we're going to go in and I'm going to add a tree. I am freehanding this. There is no stamp that I put down. I am just painting a tree. And I was really happy with the way it came out, actually. It kind of goes off the side there. I did want to have the entire trunk of the tree in the, like, part of the, I should say the bottom of the, how do I say it? The trunk of the tree, I wanted it to be able to be seen all the way to the ground in the card front, so that it didn't feel like this branch was just coming out of nowhere. It was still grounded at the bottom. Even if it's just that little bit of it that you see, it still feels like it belongs in the card and it's not just a branch coming off of the side. I just felt that that looked better in the composition of the card than if I just had the branches come in. Now we're adding leaves. I'm just taking different greens and yellows and I'm just dotting them on and layering them on top of each other, making sure not to put the color on top of any of the critters. So I'm going in between their legs and on the other side of the lion there, and just kind of adding those colors and building up the filigree so that it looks like a nice full tree, but you can still see all the branches and things. I was really happy with the way this came out. I was super proud of this tree and the scene, and I really loved it. But it was like, you know, the giraffe and the bird wanted to get to the top of the tree kind of a deal. I thought it turned out super cute. And so it's just a bunch of different greens, and I'm just continually dotting them on and layering them. I'm not even letting it dry in between coats because I do want those colors to kind of blend and mesh together. And I'm making sure that I pull the greens out of the tree down onto the ground so that it all feels cohesive. So now I've added it to the card front, and that's the end of the card, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. I'll see you soon.